Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of SCLC Today TV. I'm your host, Maynard Eaton, and of course, I'm joined by our president and CEO, Dr. Charles Steele Jr. And Steele, we begin on a sad note today. President Biden calls it outrage and grief over the killing, the bombing death of 12 Americans in Afghanistan. As an international operation, I know you have concern about that as well.
Absolutely, Maynard. This is what we have been saying all along. Dr. Bernard LaFayette and myself and others, but particularly Dr. LaFayette and two or three other people that travels with us, we've been doing this for a long time, traveling around the world. And what we're telling people is that if we don't curtail not only the violence in America, but also in the global village. We don't understand that what is taking place in Afghanistan is also taking place in America and other countries. But we don't have the vision or the envision of opportunities within our mindset as citizens of all ethnicities and background in America to understand that you can no longer just be concerned about your four and no more, or going to your social events and your religious activities and not care about the global village. We must understand SCLC is an international organization, and people who don't travel don't understand. You know, you can obtain what you call freedom, which ain't freedom no more. All of our freedom, or the basis of our freedom, has been eradicated from America, and we're still here thinking that everything is all right. You never rest on your laurels. SCLC is very concerned about what took place in the last few hours in Afghanistan. We have predicted this type of behavior.
This is the largest evacuation America has ever undertaken. But was it done too quick? Was it done too soon? Was it done erratically? Did we botch the job, you think?
Well, first of all, I've been given from day one many accolades in regards to the leadership of the current administration in terms of many issues, and particularly with the oppression of people, and particularly with the 1965 voter rights bill being gutted in terms of the pre-clearance. When you eliminate pre-clearance in terms of the transatlantic African slave trade of history of people of color, in particular the Negro race, African Americans, then you have drawn a line and put us back into Jim Crow. And sadly to say, many of citizens, not just black or white, but many of the citizenry of America didn't realize this. So what I'm saying is that the infiltration of what's taking place in Afghanistan has taken some roots, and we got to cut it off in America. That's what I'm saying.
President, as you well know, the president said tonight, the mission continues. We will hunt you down. That's not the sort of violence you adhere to, but do you think it's something retribution should be taken back before what happened today?
Absolutely. You know, we're a nonviolent organization, but you have to face reality too.
Yeah.
In order to teach nonviolence, sometimes those who understand the process of violence in a positive kind of way. I mean, you really can't call it violence when you are protecting and saving human lives. You're talking about a process of necessity in order to bring about a forceful protection of human lives. I don't care where it is in the world. We're for the human rights and civil rights of all people.
Just before we start this show, as you well know, our producer and videographer, Rick Clear, said just yesterday he was riding an Uber and a Nigerian driver was so impressed that he worked with SCLC, that he knew you, he knew Dr. Bernard LaFayette. We really have become and grown into an international organization whose tentacles spread across the world, does it not?
It really does. And you have to build off a base. You can't continuously live in the past, but you got to build off the past. And that's what we have forgotten. And I always have the concept that the global village, as we are concerned about in terms of the harmoniously working relationship with people around the world. Dr. LaFayette is not one of the best, but the world's best trainer in terms of the kingdom philosophy. Dr. King was all over the world. So I'm not going to just limit SCLC and myself in the vision of leadership that I possess to just a block or a city or even a country. I'm talking about the international community is what we must preserve, because if you don't, Afghanistan will be in your front door in a very short period of time.
That's frightening to hear. I wonder how many people really realize that it's not as far away as it seems. That sort of
No, sir.
circumstances.
Absolutely, man. And Maynard, as you know, we've been talking about this for many of years.
Yes.
Even with the suppression of the vote, we've been talking. It's coming. It's coming. We was telling people, you need to support us. You need to support. And then we become reactionarily in terms of our being upset when we should be proactive. And I'm concerned about that because people must listen. That's what's wrong with a lot of the leadership of today. People are basically concerned about their own agenda. And you must be inclusive. You must invite all to the table. And if you don't have enough chairs, tell them to bring a chair. But meet us at the table. We'll have you seated.
Well, what's on the table now in the U.S. Congress is the House of Representatives passed the John Lewis Voting Rights Amendment Act. It was passed, designed to restore the pre-clearance formula from the Voting Rights Act that was struck down by the Supreme Court in 2013, as you always refer to it as Section 5. Now it's before the U.S. Senate. Does it die there?
Hopefully not, and I'm very optimistic. You know, I don't think it's going to die there because we
really
still.
Don't?
I really
You
don't.
Really don't, sir?
Because you can't limit the work of God. You know, I'm sorry. When you go to the legislature, you got to take God with you. You don't have to wear it on your sleeve, but you got to wear it in your action. You know, we're talking about faith, Maynard, and it's a teachable moment. What people don't realize, what motivates faith is love. It's love. You stimulate faith through love. So you show the opposition love. It works, my friend. It works. I know Dr. Lafayette was in Colombia, South America, and he was incarcerated there by a gang of folks who was not politically, officially representing that part of the world, but they kidnapped Dr. Lafayette along with several other persons. And because of his faith, Dr. Lafayette survived, just like Afghanistan. But there were others who was also kidnapped along with Dr. Lafayette, didn't make it. And the reason I feel that Dr. Lafayette was not killed at that particular time, or assassinated, or murdered, was the fact that he had faith in God, but it was stimulated through the love, what they felt from Dr. King in terms of the spirit of Dr. Lafayette. Dr. King was full of love. That's what he exemplified. Dr. Lafayette was one of his lieutenants who was assigned to bring about the many trainings and international relationships just 5 hours prior to Dr. King being assassinated. He told Dr. Lafayette, he said, Lafayette, now is the time to internationalize and institutionalize the civil rights movement in SCLC. And that's what the two of us have been doing for many of years.
That's true, but now we just need to get you your collar and preaching a lot lately. Speaking of something, talking about my past career, I covered Riceville, Georgia, doing civil rights movement there, riots there, anti-civil rights movement, really. And a guy from Riceville, Georgia, his name is Herschel Walker, went on to become a All-American running back at the University of Georgia, Heisman Trophy winner. But this week, Herschel Walker has decided to run for the U.S. Senate out of Georgia. Can a football player become a star in the U.S. Senate, you think?
Well, I'm one who's independently working on behalf of the citizenry of all, but I'm also in a position of understanding you have to balance the scale. The scale must be balanced in regards to whatever you do. Mr. Walker himself has a great track record in being a great athlete, but you can't transform or transfer that in terms of representing people from the heart and from the experience of understanding the diversityness of society and people who you're representing without paying your dues. Just like in football, they would tell you this is serious business, football business, NFL business, USFL when they were alive. This is a business. Mr. Eaton, the civil rights and political arena and the venue for which you will represent is a business, but it's a different type of business. And you have to have experience and a background of understanding and proving. I'm not saying good or bad in terms of any individual, but I'm convinced and I believe that experience weigh out and balance the scale in any venue of representation.
But as you well know, he's a black candidate, a popular black candidate who is very well known and very close to Donald Trump. He played for Donald Trump in the USL, the New Jersey Generals. That's not going to be a winning edge for him, being black and also being a trumpet supporter.
Well, recognition is always important, but there are different levels in terms of people having trust and believing in you. After the recognition, they're going to look at your track record. Not saying it's good or bad, but in my little world of understanding, you must have a track record of successfulness of representing people. That's all I have to say. And if does he have it? I don't know, because I'm not close to the vision and the mindset of Mr. Walker.
You are politically ingenuous. You know how to dance politically, don't you? You really do. From the church to the dance floor, you're good tonight. From the pulpit to the dance floor, you dancing verbally and preaching verbally.
Well, you have to understand that all people, regardless, as long as you're a citizen of this country, you can't knock that. People have a right, and if they have no violation in terms of the rules of running for office, and running for U.S. Senate is very liberal in terms of a person being able to qualify. So you have to be very careful and not bash that anyone that you think might not have the experience or the background definitely should not run. I would never say that. You definitely have the right and the opportunity to run.
But we learned that with Donald Trump, did we not? That's for sure.
Absolutely.
One
Not to
last
say
thing,
that it's
sir.
right, not to say that it's right or it's wrong, but the opportunity is there. And the judgment of those people who may come to the political venue of representing or being a candidate is left up to the people within that state, but in this case, the U.S. Senate. You must make that decision, black, white, green, or blue. And you must forget about the politics, even though you're in a venue of your vision being this way or that way, liberal or conservative or moderate. You must look at what is it going to do for the whole. And that's where we missed the point in terms of politics, Ms. Eaton. And as you know, my definition in terms of freedom is that politics has never freed the oppressed.
Right.
The oppressed must free politics. But politics does have the impact to open the door, but it does not have the impact to lead you to freedom. Freedom must be led by the oppressed.
Hallelujah. Finally, back to your home state of Alabama. Just learned that Alabama A&M was gifted $2.2 million by an anonymous donor. I got a call saying that might be you. Is that what did you send that to Alabama A&M?
I tell you what, if I was in the gift giving business, Alabama A&M would be one of my choices. It's a great institution, and it trains a lot of good African American, Caucasian, a lot of Nigerians. Worldwide institution is Alabama A&M, and also its rivalry, Alabama State. And let me just say this: all HBCUs. I'm for all HBCUs and for all institutions of higher learning. You know, I have an endowed scholarship.
Something of a resurgence, have they not? HBCUs are experiencing a resurgence of late.
Absolutely. And they need more partnerships, and they need more successful people like Deion Sanders and other former NFL and NBA players to come and represent them in the athletic field as well as the academic. So I'm for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's our president, Dr. Charles Steele Jr., the president and CEO of SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Dr. Steele, thank you for another enlightening show. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week.